Today we're making
Yakida.
mead. Yakida means to your health or good health in Welsh. And we thought, let's make a metheglin that exemplifies that idea, right? Because there's a Welsh tradition of making metheglins.
And that's what led us to our naming strategy, because this actually occurred from multiple different influences, mostly from our VIP club. So
Yes.
Thanks, guys. First of all, the honey.
Joseph Woodall sent us this honey. Now, he has an apiary, and this is his honey from his apiary. It is dandelion honey. I've never tried dandelion honey before,
Okay, I can get
but
a little
it
bit.
smells like honey.
Yeah.
He said it tastes a little bit like malt, so I'm curious. But I expect that this would be perfect for the type of mead we're making, so we're going to give it a taste right now. She's so wimpy with the taste. I'm going in for it.
It does have a slight malty taste and flavor.
Yeah, but
But-
I'm getting the flowers and the
Yeah.
yeah, this is beautiful honey. Joe, this is awesome. Thank
Good
you
job,
so
Joe.
much.
Good job, Joe's Bees.
I mean, wow, this is really good. Some people said they didn't like it. I'm not done.
So Joe's honey is going to be our primary sugar source, obviously, for this mead. Then, on top of that, people were talking in a post, I think it was actually in the City Studying group, not the VIP club, where they were talking about
page.
the medicinal benefits of honey and what to add to that.
Right.
And our friend Sam suggested adding ginger, thyme, yarrow,
And elderberries.
and elderberry to make it the ultimate medicinal thing.
Would that make your mother smell like elderberries if she drank it?
So I
came up with a recipe. Basically.
Yeah, that this would be a great combination. And then the Welsh tradition of using metheglins and medicinal meads to treat pretty much everything led me to want to name it a Welsh name. And then in research, I found the traditional cheers in Welsh is Lachida, which means to your health or good health. And that seemed to be absolutely perfect.
While this has a few ingredients, it's actually not a complex mead to make. And if you do not have dandelion honey from Joseph Woodall's apiary at your disposal, you can probably substitute that for a clover honey or a wildflower, something semi-neutral but has a little bit of a floral scent to it. I mean, let's just be honest. You can use any honey you want, but those two might be closest to this one. So that's why I would suggest that. So let's get started here. Now, everything... See these bubbles? Everything was sanitized in.
The red bucket of sanitization!
And we don't worry about the little bit of bubbles, that tiny amount that's in there. They say it won't hurt you, so I don't worry about it.
Don't fear the foam.
Right, exactly. First thing I want to do is get my honey into our fermenter. And I'm going to be using 3 pounds of this honey today. And 3 pounds is pretty much a standard amount, okay? It's not going to be overly sweet with honey. It's not going to be it's not going to be super high gravity or anything like that. We're using Lalvin 71 Beast as our yeast today. So I know that's a 14% yeast that often goes to 15 or 16%. So I'm giving it a little bit of room to grow, so to speak.
I'm going to expand a little bit on Brian's statement. 3 pounds of honey per 1 U.S. gallon of fermentation.
Yes.
Is roughly the standard for mead.
Can you tilt this a little bit for me? It's a standard, but I don't like to have standards for such things. I'm just pouring a little bit in so that it doesn't spill all over the place when I try to do it. So now let's transfer. Because I already had it tiered. Yeah, I don't like to say a standard because if you use a different yeast, then the amount is different. But a lot of people seem to think that 3 pounds is a standard mead. And, well, with some yeasts it is. I don't particularly like super dry, so to me, 3 pounds with, say, a champagne yeast would be way under. All right, so our 3 pounds is in there, and look at that. It's like more than half the container. So, Joe, thanks so much. Send more. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it's really good stuff. I love it. I'd use it for a lot more things. Okay, now what I want to do is get this mixed up a little bit before we start putting other things in there. So we have some water.
It's warm again.
We have warm water. I'm just going to pour it up to about the halfway mark. And we like to use warm-ish water for this because it helps the honey to break down a little bit easier and mix in. So I need that spoon, please. And easy, you mix it. That's all you gotta do. Makes it about 2 minutes longer than you think you should. All right, that's mixed up pretty good. Just set that to the side. Just stick it right in the pitcher of water. We're gonna need it in a minute. So we're going to put in the rest of our additions. Now, we've used elderberry concentrate and elderberry puree before that was made for making wines. This time, we're going to use dried elderberries. Now, if you have fresh elderberries, feel free to use those too. I don't actually know what the conversion is. I'm using 1 ounce of dried. And I'm looking at it and looking at this and going back and forth. And am I maybe overdoing it? I don't know. But I know that I want this to taste good. So I like the fruitiness of the elderberries. I do's it. 1 ounce. If anybody knows what I do's it is from, let me know in the comments. And then I have ginger. And all I did is just chop it up into pieces. The skin is still on it, everything like that. I'm not going to worry about that. Some people have told me that the skin makes it bitter. Other people have said that they've never noticed that. So I went with, let's just chop it up and throw it in. Again, about 1 ounce of chopped ginger. Now, to me, the combination of the ginger with the elderberries makes this nice, sweet, spicy, fruity thing. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, 1 ounce in. And then, as I always say, you can never have enough time. In this case, you actually can. I started out using half an ounce and then said, no, maybe a 1/4 ounce. I got down to 1/10 of an ounce of dried thyme, and it still looks like a lot to me. I'm going to do it. 1/10 of an ounce of dried thyme. And then Yara. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a flower. It has like an herby, like almost lemony pine scent. Kind of. It's hard to describe. I've never worked with this before, and I thought, well, this might overpower easily. It might not. I'm not really sure. So I went with a 1/4 ounce, which, is a pretty decent amount. But for this, I thought, yeah, this might work. This way, we have our medicinal components, the thyme, the yarrow, and some, the ginger and the elderberries are medicinal as well, but they're more of a good flavoring component where the herbs might be too medicinal for some people. So I thought, let's balance those two out. And now we're going to add more water. Now I know those herbs are going to absorb that liquid real quick and sort of shoot up, but I don't want to skimp, I want all I can get. So I'm going to go about there. Might end up needing a blow-off tube for this one. Need a lot of blow-off tubes lately. And I just want to mix that through real good. It actually smells like honey and thyme. Just a hint of ginger. It's an interesting smell. I may like this. I tend to like metheglins. I like spiced up stuff. I don't really like mulled wine, though, which is really weird. You would think I'd love mulled wine. All right. A few of them didn't make it. Sorry, they just didn't make it. Here you go. What I would like to do now, though, before I take a reading, is I want to oxygenate just a little bit. And I'm going to do that just by taking my turkey baster and going to the bottom and giving it a squeeze, getting some air in there. And the reason for that is adding oxygen at this point is going to help the yeast build their colony. And because they have oxygen to do so, they need it in the first stages. Because they have oxygen to do so, they will not release as much of the sulfury rotten egg smell compounds that some people complain about in their brews. And you can do this for, a couple hours, a couple days if you really want to. And it's fun. You would really have to do this for a very long time to properly oxygenate a brew, just so you're aware. But because of this type of fermenter we're using, it's actually really difficult to give these a proper shake without them leaking all over the place. So that's why I'm just doing some, just a little bit to help a little. I know it's not ideal, but it'll do the job. And now, I'm going to take a reading. So my target on this was 1.120, but that was with the little bit of sugars the elderberries might add. I don't think they're going to add much, maybe like 5 or 10 points. So again, I think the extra mass that we have in here of all the stuff has kind of condensed it a little bit. So we got a little bit of a higher gravity than I really wanted to start with, but 1.120 is not too high. It's perfect. So as I'm putting the lid on, let me explain what I mean by that again. My target OG, or original gravity, was 1.120. Now in that, I added like 5 or 10 points for those berries, the elderberries, that have not released their sugars yet. So really, I should have had more like a 1.110, and then I get like an extra 10 from those berries. However, I got a 1.120, so it's going to be a little bit higher than that in the long run, but that's okay. There are some unknowns when you're homebrewing. We can't know exactly how much sugar is going to come out of those elderberries. We can't know if this honey might be 36 points or 38 points. I didn't actually measure it. I'm just going off of gut feeling and taking a measurement. In homebrewing, it's just not that critical to be exactly perfect. What's critical is to know when it's done. I don't care if this has 12% or 12.2%. I mean, does that really matter to you? Does it make a difference? It doesn't make it any better. But what I do want to know is at the end, when it's finished, is it ready to bottle? Is it safe to bottle? Is it going to explode if I bottle it? By knowing your final gravity more so than your original gravity, you can know it's safe to bottle and you're fine for storage for long term. Speaking of long term storage, a lot of people have been asking recently, once you've made this and you put it in bottles, do you have to refrigerate it? No, of course not. We make sure that everything is stable before it goes in the bottle. Therefore, they can stay at room temperature for years without an issue. We've actually gotten, like 3 years out of stuff with just screw caps and flip tops. Simple stuff. If you cork it, you might even get longer. So don't worry about that. As long as you do things properly and you make sure that it's stable before you bottle, it'll last for years. So what's going to happen now?
It's going to sit.
Couple hours, couple days. All right, so we're like half an hour after we started this. It hasn't been long at all. And you can clearly see there's positive pressure and bubbling already. Let me show you what this looks like inside. So yeah, there you go. The airlock is going, and it's going pretty strong. Let's take a look inside. So what we have here is, see all the bubbles? You can totally see a foam forming across the top. It's really amazing. This is just so soon into it, and we didn't use yeast hulls on this one. Just saying. All right, so what's going to happen?
It's going to sit.
For probably a couple of weeks at least. When I start seeing that it looks like a lot of the foaming is slowing down, we don't see as many bubbles coming up the side, and of course I do use the airlock as sort of a rough guide, that's when we'll take our first check, but you'll see that in the next video. If you like this video, we have about 300 wine, cider, beer, and mead videos on our channel.
Thank you for liking and subscribing.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.